You ready to go home tomorrow?
I mean, not really, but at least we're going to Bosco. But at least we're going to Bosco on Saturday. Should be a fun.
How the fuck are we gonna get there? It's like it's a winter storm. Like, look outside. It's freaking windy and raining and shit like that.
Uh, oh, 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 frick! Yeah, it is. Oh shit! I just hope that it clears up by Saturday.
Also, aren't the Bruins playing on Saturday?
Yeah, but at the same time, after tonight, I don't really know if I. Yeah, but at the same time, after tonight, I don't really know if I give a shit or not.
Raising the white flag already.
It hasn't even been a year making these freaking videos, and this team's already pissing me off. Bruins lose 4-1 on the road against the New York Islanders. Welcome back to Into the Den, everybody. I'm your host, Jay Freeman. This was a game that the Bruins needed to win, and they sure as hell did not. Let's run it back. The last time the Bruins played this team, it was the last game the Bruins played before the small COVID or the short COVID stoppage. They were playing. They had played that game with that. They played that game, I think, without Marchand, Bleed, Frederick, Swayman. They were down. They were missing like 9 players. That night, I was tempted to make a video. That was like Into the Den. Into the Den 1 game ? What the heck? Not again. COVID-9 Boston 0. But obviously I had to fly out to LA, and that's why we got 4 videos on one day, because I had to make up for lost time. But hey, on the plus side, we got Bergeron back. Turns out he wasn't concussed. He had sustained a head laceration from the Penguins game. I still think that I have changed my mind, and I do honestly think that Sidney Crosby should have been suspended for that slew foot. If you're gonna give Marchand 6 games for punching Tristan Jarry in the back of the head, and go right ahead. But if you care that much about player safety, freaking give Crosby 3 for slew footing Bergeron. But also the Bruins signed a 2-year deal with Stephen Kampfer to bring him back for $800,000 a year after the U.S. men's hockey team completely flamed out in the quarterfinals against, I think it was Slovakia or something or a team or something like that. Because at the hands of a former Bruin, I can't remember who, but friggin' it's like it's. I remember there was something like this happened like the night that the this happened like either the day after or like the night of the Bruins going to 9 freaking shootout frames against the Rangers. And they had said that like Bruce Cassidy refers to goalie Bob in the selection of the shootout thing in the for the selection of the shootout order, and people were saying like the dude in charge of the selection of the shootout order for the men's national hockey team, goalie Bob being awful at their job. Like, you go to 5 frames, you don't even use Matty Beniers. The kid is a freaking stud, and don't utilize him at all. Oh, and I hope I hope to I love Matty Beniers, and I hope to God that he becomes like the second great player for the second big great player for the Seattle Kraken, because I mean, because honestly, let's face it, the closest thing they've got is Jared McCann, and the closest thing they've got right now is Jared McCann, and honestly, the dude, I'm not mistaken, the dude's got like 20 goals on the season so far, which is pretty good. But Steven Kampfer is not the only one. Bergeron isn't the only one that's back from an injury. Oro Vakanainen is back from. Speaking of the Kraken, Uro Vakanainen is back for the first time since the Seattle Kraken game before before the All-Star break. And he looked okay. He looked. I mean, the game was sort of the game was vintage original six. It was the game was vintage original six. I forget if the Islanders are original six. I think it's the Rangers that are original six. Sorry, my bad. But it was vintage playing against Zdeno Chara again, and yes, it is still, and yes, it is. Seeing him on the ice still puts a smile on my face. Yes. And also, I forgot that there are I keep forgetting that there are two Sebastian Ahos in the league, and they play on different teams at different positions, and it's just what are the chances? I can. It's like, what is it? There was in the NFL, there was a time where there were two Brandon Marshalls on the same. There was a time when there were two Brandon Marshalls in the league at the same time, and at one point ESPN got confused when they played against each other. So like it was like, hey, Broncos throw to Brandon Marshall. Oh, it's caught. Oh, and the picture is like the Seahawks linebacker. But I'm getting off track. I mean, first goal of the game was pretty cool. Freaking Taylor Hall beat the entire left side of the freaking of the Islanders, and just drove to the net. Shot it from the top of the circles, and it bounced off Ilya Sorokin's back and into the net, and that was the last time the Bruins scored a goal. They had put up a what is it? They had put up a stat in the second period that was like, hey, I guess the freaking motion sensor lights turned off because I had to. I'm recording this in a different room because after putting this off for an hour because my sweet mates and I were my friend and I were talking for a bit about emotional damage. Anyway, the Islanders had like 4, 5, and 6 in one goal games, which honestly that kind of reminds me of the Boston Celtics. My friend David sent me this stat that was like, the Celtics in 5-point games, they're like 4-13, but in 6-point but in games that are decided by 6 or more points, they're 30-13. Like, how not clutch can you get? And that's exactly what the Isles were. Thankfully for Barry Trotz, it's they didn't really need to. It wasn't a one goal game because Jiggy Pajot, who I have to say, John Gabriel Pajot is he's honestly one of the most underrated bottom 6 forwards in the league. I love Jean Gabriel Pajot. But he just takes a loose puck on the freaking on a power play that's like right in front of Allmark, and he just scoops it in, just whoop, just pokes it around him, and to tie it at 1, heading into the third. Noah Dobson ends up getting Noah Dobson snipes one from pretty much the freaking blue line, and it initially does one of the most painful things that that could happen when it does that. One of the most painful things to hear when you do that. It hit the post, but it bounced off Allmark's back and into the net, and I was like, that was the moment where I knew that the Bruins were gonna lose this one, and especially because I don't know, the Bruins have been, if there's one thing that the Bruins have been awful at, it is turning the puck over in the neutral zone, and then just completely falling apart on defense in your own zone. Like, I don't know what people think. I don't know what people see in this defense that makes them think, that's it's quality. Like, no. Brandon Carlo is a bottom 4 defenseman. The dude, I know Riley was on the top pair with McAvoy, which honestly, I think I still think that Grizzly is a better pair for McAvoy on that top pair for now. And when he develops, probably Earlvac and I. When he develops, if he develops with us, Earlvac and I could possibly take that role as top pair defenseman with McAvoy. Or if we decide to trade him, we could. Or if we decide to trade him for Jacob Chikrin, Chikrin could be that top pair with McAvoy. There are a few scenarios I think about this, but Carlo is not a top. Is not a top pair defenseman. The dude is a bottom 4, and I don't know what people see in him. The dude is a big physical body, and yeah, he can. There are moments where his massive presence is an asset. But more often than not, he's mediocre at puck handling, and he's mediocre at puck handling, and I have and it is and I've taken a shit, and I've gone up to take a shit faster than I've seen that dude skate from one end of the ice to the other. Like, big physical presence, yes, that's not a bad thing. But right now, this league is more oriented to puck handling and agility, not like. And there are times where that's a liability, where his big presence is a liability, or it's just completely invisible. Like the bars, like this game easily could have been a 2-1 game if Carlo had utilized his. I don't know if Carlo was on the ice for both of these goals, but if he's right in front of the net for the JG Pajot and for the Pajot and the Barzal all goals, that is immediately, this game is a 2-1 game. In fact, maybe not even, because the fourth goal was an empty netter, and I mean, what can you really do about that? Which still reminds me that the Bruins have not had an empty netter in so long that it's been freaking months since they last had an empty netter, and it's just how this this great top end is they just cannot they just can't chip it up past the defense and into the empty net. The last time anyone got close, I think Marchand was like was just like right at the doorstep, and he got fucking decked, and the clock hit 0 before he could actually put it in, and it was just heartbreaking. But this team I can see this team going downhill fast. There's I mean I made the title of the Ottawa game one the beginning of the end, and I think that's what we're seeing. Like the Bruin, especially because the Islanders are like nipping at our heels for the last playoff spot, for the second wild card spot, and this just us losing in overtime, us losing here in regulation, was if we win this, it's a 4-point swing. It's they gained 2 points on us, and I don't know what to say to help this team, especially because my reach is so low, and especially because my reach is so low, and there's not really much I can do because I'm not in a freaking position of power in the Bruins. Come on, you've seen the fucking camera on this thing. It's grainy as shit, and I can't. Do I look like I have power? No. Well, but I don't know how to. I don't know how I can say to you guys is that it's going to be okay for the Bruins, because it's not. If they want any chance of a playoff push, they need to go all in at the deadline. I'm talking Chikrin. I'm talking Chikrin and either JT Miller or Tomas Hertl, or it's or this is going downhill. Well, we need this team needs one last run. This team needs one last run with Bergeron, and because if if Bergeron decides to come back on a team-friendly deal, that's great. That's great. We now have depth here. We now have a little bit more depth. But if we can't try for one last run, if we can't do one last run, then this is just going to be a waste. This is going to be a waste. And also, I gotta say this game does not make me feel any better because seeing Matt Barzal just makes me just makes me violently angry. Because literally a fucking toddler could have drafted that 2015 in class better. Dude, we missed out on fucking Shabbat. We missed out on fucking Barzal, Shabbat, freaking Kyle Connor, Joel Eriksson Ek, Travis Konechny, Sebastian freaking Aho. Oh, there were a bunch of players that we could have drafted. Instead, we got a dude who took until last year to break out on defense, and is now not going to play again until next year because he got a torn ACL. We have a dude that's been maddeningly a dude that's been one of the most inconsistent players on our team ever since we drafted him. He's had amazing flashes of brilliance, but also there have been way too many times where he's just been invisible on the ice. The dude is the kid is a fucking the kid is a freaking like the kid is freaking Phil Kessel if Kessel was always just was always just if Kessel was always in his Arizona form. And freaking Zach Senyshyn, talk about one of the most failed prospects the team has had in ever. Literally the only draft pick that the Bruins have had in the past in the entire 21st century that is as bad, if not worse, than Zach Senyshyn is Zach Hamill in 2007, right before Logan Couture. Could you imagine Logan Couture on this team? The dude would be our. We wouldn't have a number 2 center problem. He would, unless he. We wouldn't have a number 2 center problem. It would be him, and it would absolutely be him and Bergeron, and solidifying our number 2 and number 1 C for as long as he's been in the league. But I'm rambling, and it's good to think about. It's not healthy to think. It's not entirely healthy to think about what could have been, but staying resigned in failure is just, it's painful, man. But that is going to be it for tonight's episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Click like if you like, click subscribe if you really like. Down below is still the GoFundMe for Jake Thibault's recovery. And tell your friends that Saturday's video about the Saturday's Into the Den episode is going to be is almost certainly going to be late. I forget when that game starts, and it will likely be when I am at this convention, and as a result, I won't be able to freaking watch it. But just give me 1 second. It is the Bruins game is against Ottawa at 7:00 at 7:00 in the evening. This next episode is just gonna be a highlight reel episode where I just watch the highlights and talk about them. Not really any sort of just a superficial Into the Den, like the what is it, the Vancouver game where they had like 3 goals, or 3 goals got called back, and the first 4 Into the Den episodes of this year. But anyway, take care.